If we can rise for the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tasia, would you do roll call, please?
Yep. Patty Jo Forsberg.
Here.
Roxanne Kendall.
Here.
Cherie Ling.
Here.
Bruce Belargin.
Here.
Lori Belargin.
Here.
Katie Thermos.
Here.
Marge Below.
Here. Our district mission, together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Katie.
Second.
Thank you, Marge. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 2 on the agenda, open forum. Opinions and ideas contributed by students, parents, staff, and other Somerset School District citizens are valuable to the board, which is why we included on the agenda. The board shall receive such input without comment. Please remember that we are friends, neighbors, and/or at the very least, fellow community members. Please remember to be kind and polite. If a speaker begins invading the privacy of an individual or becomes abusive, obscene, or irrelevant, the speaker will be stopped. Please state your name and address prior to making your public comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And Bruce, would you do the timing again, please? Thank you. So the first person on our list is Allison Carrico.
I move my chair over there, so I'm not afraid.
Sure.
I begin whenever.
Go ahead.
As long as Bruce is ready.
Yep, go ahead.
My name is Allison Carrico. My address is 1730 112th Street in Richmond. Good evening. I'm here today now as a homeschooling parent who previously open enrolled my 3 children in this incredible district and taught multiple community education classes and currently have children actively involved in the sports programs, as well as serving as president of the Somerset Youth Wrestling Club. I am here today to remind the majority of this board that we are not the minority. We don't back down to bullies or intimidation, nor do we fear fighting for our freedoms. I would also like to remind you that we live in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. And in the great words of the great communicator, Ronald Reagan, if we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. If we don't stand, who will? Enough kneeling. I kneel to no one but my Lord and Savior. This isn't just about a mask, because it's never been just about a mask. Nor has it been just 14 days to slow the spread. I don't even know what we're on now. It's definitely not about herd immunity, because we've surpassed that. And it certainly isn't about the greater good or protecting your neighbor, because they would eradicate cancer, diabetes, heart disease, not the seasonal flu, which is just gone from this world. These are lies, all lies, driven to make us fearful. But we remember, America was not built on fear. It was built on courage and doing the job at hand. And I would like to ask you 4 board members, are you doing your job at hand? The duty we the people have bestowed on you, elected by the public to be a collective voice for those people. Are you doing your duty as a public servant, upholding your oath to people you serve? And if not, why? Who are you serving? And again, why? I'll close with this. The sequence certainly matters. God bless each and every single one of you. And please make good choices and unmask our children. Thank you.
Ian?
Good evening. Ian McDonald, 466 Abbey Lane. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to the concerns of the community. Regarding the mask requirements in the district, I don't want to waste your time with a lot of positions you've already heard. Some of them are reasonable, some of them are a little more extreme and maybe off topic. I just want to ask one thing tonight, is that you guys be completely transparent with your justification for how you feel and how you're voting tonight. I'll point out that the St. Croix County Health Department has advised that they recommend students wear masks. You should take that into consideration before you can continue to require them. Also, that these same children have not been wearing masks outside campus for a long time. There's been no overwhelming spread of COVID-19 in our community. On the contrary, our school district was not forced to shut down a single time during the school year due to COVID. For that, we should thank the administration, the staff, and the students. They did a good job. And more importantly, their success in that end. Students, staff, and parents of the district are not required to wear masks by this village, this county, this state, this country's governments. We are completely surrounded by school districts that are not requiring masks. So given those facts, I look forward to hearing any reason it should be necessary that our 3 buildings that house the students could warrant such a decision from our board, other than for political reasons. I don't believe politics, especially fringe extreme on either side, have any business in our school. Like I said in my email to the board on June 9th, making masks optional is supported by a nonpartisan majority of our community. I've heard that some believe the staff survey was misrepresented, and I've spoken with community members and staff and can say that everyone I've talked to believes that they should be optional, and that requiring masks at this point is more or less purely political theater. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Molly?
Good evening. I'm not here to make the perfect speech or repeat the science on masks. You've all heard that before. I just want to share my experience from the perspective of a parent who saw firsthand what it looked like to have a school board truly make a decision based on what the majority wanted, not on their individual opinions. I am in the Somerset School District, but I open enroll my child in New Richmond. I graduated from Somerset and I was very torn on where to send my child to school, but felt good knowing a couple of the board members in New Richmond. And I'm glad I made that decision, especially now during our current situation. No district is perfect, and each is faced with a unique set of circumstances. But New Richmond truly came to a decision that favored what the majority wanted. Within 48 hours of the superintendent putting out a survey to the students and the parents in the district and getting an overwhelming response to go mask optional, the board made a quick decision to make it happen. They truly responded to the needs of those they serve, and it was much respected. You as a board have also heard how important this is to the majority, to the teachers, to the parents, and to the students of this community. I am truly asking you to look at what is best for the community you serve. So much has changed in the almost 2 years since the virus made its appearance in America. And with that, we must also change and make accommodations to where we are right now. The stores are mask optional, the restaurants are mask optional, even large public venues are mask optional, and all are doing well. There is no influx of cases. If anything, there is a decrease in cases. Please allow the children and the teachers of the Somerset School District to have a normal summer and year ahead after all they've endured through the last year. The kids, teachers, and parents all want and deserve this. Please see it within your hearts to make a decision that is best for all. be a district like New Richmond, Hudson, River Falls, or St. Croix Central, who have listened to the majority and made masks optional. It served those communities well, and I know it will Somerset too. So much relief and joy has come along with that decision. In your hearts, you have to know that's the right thing to do. You've heard all the science, you've seen other districts go with the mask optional decision, and I hope you can find it within yourselves to want what's best for your district that you serve. Thanks for your time, and I truly hope to see the smiling faces of all the kids and teachers in Somerset School District soon. Thank you for your time.
Hello?
Hello, Becky. This is the Somerset School Board meeting. Would you like to make your comment?
Sure, I'm ready.
All right, go ahead.
To the School Board of Somerset, my name is Becky Linke, and I live at 1010 Spring Street in the Village. I have lived in Somerset for nearly 27 years, and both my adult children are graduates of the Somerset School. I consider myself to be an informed voter, and I am proud to have voted for many members of the school board, and I greatly appreciate all the many hours of work. Thank you. I would like to thank the school board members also for their adherence to the use of masks indoor during the summer school program. I believe the school board has the best interests of all children in mind district-wide, and I am in agreement with that decision. I work for a veterinary vaccine manufacturer, and I personally cultured or grown viruses in the lab. I know a lot about viruses. I believe the danger our children still face from the COVID-19 virus is far greater than the inconvenience of wearing a mask, even with all its uncomfortable aspects. We are only beginning to understand the effects of this virus on children, as children continue to be infected, though it is true on a small scale. When there are so many vulnerable kids together inside in close proximity to each other over long periods of time, there is no way to protect them from the virus except to have them wear a mask indoors, at least until a high enough immunity level is reached among the adult population and the virus goes dormant. I, for one, believe that wearing a mask protected me from catching COVID-19 when I was exposed to a coworker who tested positive. I know that many do not share this belief, and they have every right to express their opinions. But in the end, however, a majority of this school board has decided that masks will be mandatory indoors at our schools. Perhaps sometime soon the majority will decide otherwise, but until then, I believe we must teach our children to accept this rule with fortitude and character. This issue of mask wearing is highly controversial, unfortunately, and there has been a lot of heated discussion over it, but it is time to put this matter aside and get back with the business of learning. Thank you, respectfully.
Thank you, Becky.
Good night.
Good night. Corey?
Hi, my name is Corey Miller, 2047 West Church, Star Prairie. Rochelle and I open enroll our 3 kids, and our basic reason for getting involved in this is, I think like most people, we tolerated the mask thing, although we didn't believe in it for well over a year, but we tolerated it because We're Americans, we go along with the majority, and it sure seemed like, all right, it's tough when the majority of businesses and groups and everything else are still doing the masks. It's hard to go against the grain maybe, so we kind of went along with that. I think a lot of us pretty much are all on the same page, and we got more engaged as the rest of the country finally came around, and it was pretty interesting how and when the masks started coming off, and that's a debate for another time perhaps, but to us, this is really simple. Majority rule is the #1 American value we all should share. Last caller said, you're the majority, so you get to keep ruling. That is incorrect, Becky. You are elected officials that need to continue to represent your majority. Your failure to send out surveys is the #1 reason that I got active in recalling these 2 board members, Patty Jo and Kate, because it, as we discussed from the last board meeting, so my premise of my message tonight is just to inform you transparently. We want open discussion, we want civil debate. That has not been happening. You have, for some reason, not wanted the voices of parents all year, and that's really suspicious, okay? So we gathered after the last board meeting and had good rational debate. I was very frustrated and sick about what to do with my situation and kids in the school until I met this parent group. And you know what? I was so relieved. We are the vast majority. We all have been listening to the same news, the same this and that, making our own decisions as we go. And when you have a few board members that basically say that doesn't matter, you are very directly calling us very stupid people, and that's not fair, that's not accurate. So that's how I think the majority of us parents gathered together feel, and we feel that we have made more than enough attempts to make our voice heard despite you not asking for it. You continue to ignore it. The only other option you've left us is recall. So we have pushed that. In 10 days, we have over 800 and some signatures. We only need 853. This is gonna happen.
10
okay?
seconds, Corey.
So we just want to send that message that we want civil, constructive conversation to continue, but the recall's got to happen going forward. Thank you for your time.
Danielle?
Good evening, I'm Danielle Erickson of 1975 62nd Street in Somerset. I, like Molly, don't want to give another typical why we should not be masking our children comment. Members of this board have failed to hear every last viable truth and comment from the past 2 meetings. Do you realize that if every person attending or employed at the school were to test positive for COVID-19 today, according to the statistics out by Statista, which is a leading provider of market and consumer data, that as of June 9th, 2021, 99.9% of children aged 5 to 18 would survive. 99.9% of 18 to 30-year-olds would survive. Aged 31 to 49, 99.8% will survive. Of the 50 to 64-year-olds, 99.7% will survive. Every age group statistically lists a near 100% survival for healthy school-aged children and teachers. I won't belabor the point, but I believe that captures the age group of students and employed persons in the Somerset School District. At the last school board work session, 4 of the members discussed liability and fear over adjusting any mask policies without the school attorney, as they felt decidedly unqualified and uncomfortable. Do you realize that being qualified to sit on this very board happened upon election? Do you understand that an elected board who by its own policy in the Somerset School District Manual, Code 0131.1, bylaws and policies states these words exactly? Bylaws and policies shall be adopted, amended, repealed, or suspended by a majority vote of the board. This very simple sentence is all the qualification required to accomplish what is being asked of you. As the school board, you are each tasked with the job of delivering to the students, parents, and teachers a decision following the majority consensus. To sit on this elected board and deny the families in Somerset schools their consensus, when the very trust of those in this community put each of you in the chairs you sit today. I implore you to do the right thing. Do what you have been elected to do. Do this nonpartisan while listening to majority comments as expressed by your constituents in the teacher survey and those who commented at previous board meetings. Please do your job. It is imperative that masks be made optional. It is time to get these filthy bacteria-infested masks off my children and the rest of this district today.
Kayla?
Hello, my name is Kayla Entahar. I live on 1837 45th Street. I have a second grader and a fifth grader that both go to summer school. And I can tell you they're not thrilled with having to wear masks again, especially in the summer. It's quite filthy, actually. They don't like it. It's just not going well for them. They were very upset to know that they had to wear them going into summer school. They thought they made it through the school year and they won't have to wear it anymore. But then once they learned they had to wear it in summer school, they no longer wanted to go to summer school. But we persisted. We're in summer school and they are enjoying it. It's a great program and they're still wearing their masks. But I would really ask you all to please consider making masking optional for summer school in the next school year. The cases are extremely low for the state and the district, and we should be making steps forward at this stage in the pandemic instead of stalling where we're at right now. Just look at the surrounding districts. And you know, they lifted their mandate and seems like things are going well. We as parents can and should be trusted to make these health decisions for our children, not the school board. The comments from recent meetings about showing vaccination cards and how the board feels they are responsible for our children's health at school is absolutely absurd and appalling. Comments like these will make the district lose students and families to private schools. Why aren't you listening to the families? Why can you not trust the families, the parents, the staff to make this decision if they would like to wear a mask or not? I would like to know your reasoning, and please do not cite the policy because that can be changed at any time. You are voted into this public position to listen to the people, and it appears that some of you are not. You are intelligent, professional people, but you're not doing your role. Please, listen to us parents. Listen to what we are asking for. Again, your core values. Each person is capable of success, is valued, accepted. Change is our opportunity for growth. Involve communities, foster strong schools. Are you board members living up to your core values, your mission? Please, listen to the parents. Thank you.
Jackie?
Good evening. I honestly don't want to be standing here tonight to make another public comment, but I feel someone needs to be standing for our staff and our community because unfortunately you are not. I have over 30 pages of the staff comments from the last school perception survey, and of those 30 pages, about 90% are negative and pertaining to the school board. Here are just a few of the staff comments, and I'm going to quote them. I do not believe there's an open dialogue between the district and the board. Decisions are made at a board level that does not take into account the buildings or teachers' perspectives. Quote, the teachers claim a culture of open dialogue, or the district claims a culture of open dialogue. However, they rarely take our suggestions. It is a way for them to do what they wish. Quote, the biggest stressor of my job, by far, and sometimes would cause me to leave this school district, is the school board and the current leadership. Quote, I would not recommend employment in this district because of the current board leadership. Quote, there's a fraction of the school board that makes life miserable for all. These are from the staff perception survey, and you should be concerned. This is another quote. The stress I feel in this job comes from my interactions and lack of functioning of our school board. No trust, no ethical practices, not following their own policies regarding chain of command, The list goes on, and specifically from our current board chair. This does not happen in other school districts and is a huge barrier to my work. Quote, the current school board is toxic. Quote, most of our school board has their own agenda and it's not for the majority of the staff or the students. It's a very toxic environment. Quote, we do not need the current board leader dividing the board due to a personal agenda and union beliefs that do not exist in education anymore. Quote, there seems to be many personal agendas and alliances with some of the school board members. I don't think this is ethical. I do not feel this board has the district or me in their best interest. Quote, it's hard watching school board meetings, seeing board members rolling their eyes, looking at others with sarcasm, arguing. We need professional school board members. Quote, some members of our school board are demeaning to administration. I have been there a long time, and this board leadership is terrible and needs to change. Quote, we need some of our professional intervention or training to help our board understand their roles and responsibilities. Our current board chair does not follow a chain of command and reaches out to teachers to try to get information from them. This continues to create a divide between teachers and administration. It is awful to try to do our job. Quote, there's a significant amount of toxicity from certain members of this board. Quote, switch out the current board from any other district other than this one. And finally, it says, quote, I would like to see the board listen and trust and understand we're on the same team with the same mission, vision, and goals. These are all quotes from our district regarding this board that is sitting in these chairs. The common theme of this board and the words that were used by our staff here is toxic, unethical, demeaning, unprofessional, hidden agendas, alliances, division, no communication, and poor board leadership. Last board meeting, the staff perception survey was discussed for 20 minutes. However, none of these staff comments were brought up and merely were swept under the rug and never to be talked about again. This is a serious problem, and it's extremely concerning and needs to be addressed. Our school district deserves better, and so do our teachers. Thank you.
All right, so this is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Now that the public comment portion of the meeting is over, the public is not permitted to participate in the meeting. Please remember, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board during the rest of the meeting. If a member of the audience does so, they may be asked to leave the meeting. Reports. Mark, Superintendent's report, construction update?
Let me pull this up here.
Sure.
My computer's been down for a while.
Sorry.
I'll wing it, okay. Construction-wise, I sent out a couple documents as far as the final approval for basically phase 3, which is the district office portion out here. All the numbers came back great. We're a little bit under budget on this. And if you followed some of the sheets, they're a little hard to follow at times, but we did get, the thing that really brought it under budget was
When
we
was
have.
this, Mark? I don't know.
What's that?
You sent it when?
It should be attached to the, was it attached to the action item?
Yep, to the action item down below.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
I
that's
just want
okay.
to comment on it now.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up.
But there's actually a $98,000 credit from Wool that really put the thing under, also all their engineering and everything, really caused that to come in under budget. Plus, we have about roughly around an $80,000 cushion there, plus about another 38. So, if everything goes perfect, we'll probably have 120,000 left over after this, and then whatever the board wants to do with that. We've got some other projects that we, were talking about before, like the marquee or the back boardroom stuff. I mean, let's wait till that all we get done with this and we get that situated. The work has started in the high school and the middle school, over in the fax area, in the music area in the middle school, and the high school wing is, the athletic wing has been, they started tearing up the floors today. The gym is almost gutted. So when you walk in there next fall, it'll all be repainted, new bleachers, new lighting.
Sound? No, we might want to use that money on the sound system. I'm sorry. That was one of the things we had to pull off. Yeah, that's a $50,000 item right there. So again, I would say that ranks up there as one of the top pieces. You know, if we have that cushion left over, it'd be that sound. But after the summer's work, both the middle school and high school should be in, just everything should be in top shape. We're redoing one mechanical unit over at the elementary, and so all three buildings should be, you know, super functioning. The work out here will probably start this next week on the parking situation out here. We do have a little bit of a snag, and I didn't get an answer yet to why it was pulled off of the village agenda last week. I'm waiting for an answer. It was approved by all the city engineers, our engineers, the the community development committee recommended it, but for some reason it was pulled off their agenda last week, and so I got to find out why and what the impact of that is going to be for this. You know, I think we're going to proceed as planned, but Market Johnson's working on it, and Wold's working on it, so I'll keep you posted on that. Let's see what else do I have on here. Summer school. Numbers are a little bit down, and that's for a number of different reasons. You know, it was just a interesting year. Some people just aren't coming to summer school. I don't think the mask thing had a big impact on that. We had a few people pull kids, but we're at roughly around 600 kids involved in the program now, and I think in the past we've been up around 900. So again, we'll see how that all washes out, because kids are still registering for the second half and things are flowing, but things are working out. You know, we've got staff to teach, and I think, you know, at the next work session I'll probably have somebody come in and just give a little bit more of a report on how summer schools are going. District health update. You know, it's hard to track anything this summer, but you know, as far as what we know of, we don't have any new cases in the district, but we are still monitoring, and we'll take whatever from the county and then do the close contacts and things like that. But right now, last I talked to Ryan, he says, no, it's been real quiet, so, which is good news. And I'll just jump right into the enrollment report. We finished up the year almost where we started, about 50 kids down. You know, we gained a few towards the last couple of months, but it just basically held to where we're at. And looking forward to seeing what we have next year. And I think next year will be a real critical year for us as far as, you know, when we start looking at budget-wise and student enrollment and see if any of these trends are turning around. And again, our JK program is low again, and that's a trend that's been happening the last 4 years. So we really got to keep our eye on that. So that's all I have for reports.
I have a couple questions, Mark. So you said the district office area, parking area was supposed to start construction next week. Are you saying that because of this item being pulled from the village board agenda, that might not be able to happen?
Yeah, and I don't have an answer yet on that. So I just found out about that this morning, that this was pulled off the agenda, and I'm trying to get an answer why. And I haven't gotten one back from the village president yet.
Is there anything that board members can do to assist?
Well, I think right now, until I find out why, it's nothing to do with engineering or what have you. It's just that a decision was made to pull it off the agenda, and we don't know why. And that's why I got to find out why it's on the agenda. It's the same with the development out here. That's why that equipment's been sitting still, because something's happening that needs some answers. So, and that's Market Johnson is aware of it.
Still have Bob's number?
What's that?
Still have Bob's number?
I do. What do you think told me about it this morning? So we're working on it, and again, I don't have an answer for you, but we'll find out as soon as I do. I'll send a note out.
Well, if there's anything that
Right.
board
No,
members can
believe
do
me.
to assist.
If there is, I'll enlist everyone.
And do we have, so Ryan's working through the summer?
Yes. Yeah.
And
That's
do
what.
we receive funding from St. Croix County to assist with that?
We haven't heard of anything of that yet. It's been, you know, that was the plan. But
Right.
again, they stopped our weekly meetings I think we're gonna start now in another, next week.
Okay.
Again, with the weekly meetings, but they stopped at the end of school because everyone was going their separate ways and,
But they're gonna start up next week, you think?
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Do we have, you talked about the signage, do we still have the set aside money for signage in addition to these
No,
funds? Or is that
no.
complete?
We've been, as projects come off the table and what have you, and we decided, pretty much by consensus that it was just, that isn't a priority.
Right.
So when we finish this out here and we know exactly where we're at, again, I don't want to, go over, at all. And I was a little worried about this project out here because we have to enlarge the pond out here also, but it all came in under, under budget.
Yeah.
So the contingency is about 80,000, and then we had normally about another 30 or 40. So again, perfect world, we'll be able to do something.
Okay.
So. Any other questions? Oh, you know what I was gonna mention, it came up here in one of the people speaking, about a survey. We talked about once before, a community survey. I mean, is that anything that you want us working on, or?
Roxanne brought it up to the last meeting or 2 meetings ago. I think it would be very valuable to get feedback. We've got it from the teachers. I don't think it would hurt to do a survey.
No, if you want us to put something together, I'll
Yeah.
send it out to you guys and you can take a look if you want, but I'm not gonna just send one out.
I think a lot of people have asked for it. I think it's just another tool for them to be heard. So I think it's important that we consider that.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure, we'll frame something up and then I'll send it out and get
Yes,
input
please.
and we'll go from there. Okay? So-
When you say send it out, do you mean you're gonna send it to the board first?
Right, yes, yep. I'll want you guys to know what's on there.
Yeah, I have a question about our health insurance. Do we have any type of update on where that's at?
Dave will, during his budget piece here, he can talk about that, as far as where the healthcare is at. I know he's got a number factored into the proposed budget for healthcare, steps and lanes, and those are all good questions for him.
I don't know.
It's usually the same thing.
Okay, that's all I have.
Is he up now?
Dave?
He's here.
Yeah, he's here.
He's not up.
watching on,
Watches from YouTube, so.
yeah. He'll come
He's not
walking in
up.
because there's a little delay.
He's down later.
Well, financial reports.
Does anybody have financial questions?
Did anybody have any questions on the financial reports? Or are we good to hear from Dave until we?
Mark, we just wait for him until later?
What's that?
You're not going to get Dave, are you?
No, is he up? I can't get my
No,
agenda up.
he's not up yet.
Okay.
You got time.
Did anybody have any questions on the financial reports? No. Item 4, certification of required signatures on recall petitions. We have a resolution here that will be signed by myself and Roxanne, the clerk. The Somerset School District is required to pay all costs of a special election. Somerset School District is part of 5 separate municipalities. Municipal clerks estimate that the recall election is going to cost the Somerset School District about $20,000. If enough signatures are collected, according to the Wisconsin Elections Commission timeline, the estimate of the election would be October 19th. Both of the school board members being recalled are up for regular election the first Tuesday in April, about 5 months later. Learning connectedness. Mark, was there anything else you wanted to say about the recall petition?
No.
Okay.
Do we have to do anything with that, or is that just
Well,
you guys?
Roxanne and I have to sign it.
Yeah, that's an action.
We have to have a motion.
To approve it?
Yep.
All right, so would someone care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Patty Jo.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Katie. Any further questions or discussion? All in
Just
favor?
a resolution.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Learner connectedness, staffing. Mark, would you like, we discussed this at our last
Right,
meeting.
yeah, and I put that note out there that, it's, those are the positions we want to retain. We want to retain the one healthcare aide, so we have someone in each building.
Right,
And the substitute, we want to go down to one to start out with, and we'll see what the need is. And then .5 high school aide is what we've had there. Renee's been in that position, we want that back.
right.
So,
Would someone like to make a motion on the staffing request?
I have a question. Is that full-time substitute is somebody interested that we currently have doing it? Do we know that
I
yet?
believe one of the three is interested in it. I can't think of,
Karen By?
no, not, I don't want to say the wrong.
It's okay. And then, I was trying to read this really quick again. Would they float between the 3 schools?
Right, that's the way it started out before, and again, it's not the most cost effective, but it guarantees us, a quality person in our buildings, so.
Mhm.
Can you have that come back relatively early in the school year to see how it's going?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because
Yep,
I don't want to wait till midway through the year.
yeah, it'll
Just
be
find
interesting
that
to see what
we can't find
our sub situation is, because a lot of people didn't sub this last year because of, the typical age of our subs are in that real vulnerable area, and
Yeah.
again, so, I mean, this was happening all over. So we'll see how it goes and monitor it right away.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve 5A, 1, 2, and 3.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion by Katie and a second, was that Patty Jo? Oh,
Roxanne.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, any opposed? Advanced operations then. We've got the calendar proposed amendment. The impact on the hours of instruction are at the bottom of the document.
So that means we get technically a 1.5 days of weather. Maybe leaving early,
Yeah, like a late start or an early.
and then that 1 day off.
Yeah. However, there is the note at the bottom of the time grid that should inclement weather create a deficit. The middle school and high school are able to run remotely.
I'll make a motion to approve 6A.
I'll second it. All right, so motion by Bruce and second by Sheree. Any further questions or discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1. Extracurricular code, I do not see Trent here. We went through this at the work session. I looked it over again. Apparently he decided to stay with will rather than may for the 4 infractions. And he decided that he wanted to stick with a student cannot participate in more than one WIAA sport at the same time in the same season, even with the coaches and athletic director's approval. So the code of conduct stands as it was presented at our work session. Would anybody care to make a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
So we have a motion by Katie and a second by Patty Jo to approve the 21-22 extracurricular code of conduct as presented. Anybody have any further questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The employee handbook, there's a memo attached and the final draft of the employee handbook. In the memo, Tasia and Jody talk about no correct spelling and grammar changes as we go through for the second time. but any change that impacts employees or the district would come back to the board and as an amendment. Tasia, is there anything you want to add?
No, that's pretty much it. We're just hoping in the next couple weeks we'll be done with all of our final checks.
Anybody want to make a motion on the final draft of the 2021-22 employee handbook?
I'll make a motion to approve 6C1.
All right, Bruce has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Marge. Any questions or comments about the employee handbook?
Thank you, Tasia.
Yeah.
And Jody,
Lori and Catherine.
Lori, who else? Catherine. Catherine, yeah. That was a lot of work.
Thank you for letting us do it section by section rather than us piling it onto us at the summer meeting, because that would have been really difficult to get through it all.
So we've got a motion, right? And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Policy updates. We have 3 of them listed here. I'd like to start with 8451, please, if you don't mind. This is the one about pet lice, and after it was approved, there was, Roxanne, I think you had brought up some concerns, and there was some discussion with Ryan and the healthcare aides. And so the only change is that if a student with live lice or untreated nits is not able to be picked up immediately, they may remain in the healthcare office for the remainder of the day. So that's the only change.
Yep.
Would anybody like to make a motion to approve this policy 8451?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 8451.
Second.
Okay, motion by Roxanne and second by Patty Jo. Anybody have any other questions or comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Policy 8450.01, personal protective equipment during pandemic, epidemic events. Katie, I believe you made a suggestion at our last meeting. Would you like to address this?
I would, and just to, so I wrote down some language so you could have it, and I put it under H, it's on page 2. So we're at 8450.01, and it's the section on exceptions to the use of masks. And it would be item number H, if you all agree. So in regard to COVID-19 specifically, 6 weeks after a vaccine is available to an age group, the district may allow face coverings for staff and students to be optional inside a building and or wing of a building, which encompasses those age groups. Staff and students in buildings and or wings of buildings in which the vaccine is not available to the age group of students within that space shall continue correct usage of face coverings. So for example, like I tried to, and so I'm going to make that motion, that language, or something similar be added. So the 11th and 12th graders have been well beyond the 6 weeks time period where they had vaccinations available. The 9th and 10th graders were, or 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, I think it is.
12 and up.
Ages 12 and up were on May 12th. And since the middle school is split off into 2 wings, and they're separate, and with, you know, assurances that they could do some cleaning in between common areas, I don't see why the teachers and 7th and 8th grade students, as well as the students from 7th up through 12th, can't go mask optional inside the buildings. Because anybody who's wanted to get a vaccine to be in person can be vaccinated. or has been. And those 6 weeks, by the way, May 12th was when it became available to 12 to 16.
Yeah.
That's Wednesday. That's 6 weeks. I think it's a reasonable thing, you guys, to say.
What's reasonable is to do a parent survey.
what's-
What's reasonable, and you can follow that. I mean, take the time to do a
Thank
parent
you.
survey. I'll exit, because that's
Thank
just ridiculous.
Okay,
Take
what's
a parent
reasonable
survey. Have the ball.
for the kids who haven't had a chance to be vaccinated yet? That they don't even have the opportunity. And I think it would give assurances to parents if you said, okay, once the approval comes for those students to even be vaccinated, the parents have 6 weeks within which to get them fully vaccinated. You know. And then at that point,
Let's go.
the whole thing.
I hope we,
But we can't require vaccinations for students to attend anyway.
I'm not.
I don't know where you guys live, but it's not.
Enjoy your dictatorship, your short-term reign is almost over.
That's
Enjoy
so
it.
heartbreaking to the parents. We don't get a choice for our own children.
Majority rules in the United States of America.
Never, this is never gonna
Look,
happen.
I don't know what country you live in,
It's not
but
enough
go
for
move to a different one.
vaccine. You might wanna think about your budget, because we're gonna all
You
hold
just
our
ruined
kids.
our lives for a year.
Nothing.
A year,
No
Lori.
excuse.
Maybe you
We're
should
done.
just leave.
Okay, we're done.
Thank you.
You don't know that we've had it?
And your recall will be
Hopefully not
next
that
in
message.
April.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to it.
Because I'll tell you, everybody that comes to our table says, where's Lori's?
Thank you.
So get ready.
So you're not suggesting anything's required? You're,
No.
any proof for the people that want optional?
No, and frankly, I think if we do it this way, it allows the most students to attend in person. Because then you're not telling people, kids who have underlying health conditions, you're not telling them in order for you to have some assurance that the mask provides, because they were to wear masks before as part of the mitigation until the vaccine was available. Same thing should apply to our young kids too. I mean, they should be, and then that provides majority of kids to be in person in school.
Because I guess that's something that people will get hung up on, is saying that you're requiring proof of vaccination in order to do the mask optional. But that's,
No, not
This would not
I didn't hear it that way.
no, but that's what's being asserted. That's why I'm just trying to get clarification that this isn't a saying
It is
that.
not a requirement, there's no asking for proof, it's simply a timeline that provides families who wish to keep their children protected the opportunity to attend public school
in person.
with that protection.
And it's only when they're indoors. I mean, we do have kids with underlying health issues.
Last fall, didn't they set up classroom and stuff outside?
Yes.
So then they could have more mask-free time and stuff like that, so there was a lot of, like, break times and kids
Yeah.
outside learning, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought was part of our plan.
And there were many pictures on our district website as well showing that.
I think it's a reasonable compromise. I don't think it's doing anything. The American Academy of Pediatrics is recommending that kids, May 26th,
Yeah.
2 and older still be in masks when they're in school. I mean, this is not an overreach. This is not a power grab. This is just trying to make sure that those kids who need to be vaccinated or whose parents want them to be vaccinated have the opportunity.
Is that something we could potentially include in our survey, if that's a concern for parents? And, you know, with making it optional, again, we are not saying you can't wear a mask, so if somebody is compromised or feels that they want to, they could wear it all year long. But I don't, you know, it sounds like we've got parents that really don't want anything hinged on having a connection with the vaccine and the mask so could we include that in the?
Well, you can, but if we don't act tonight, I mean, I brought this up last week, if we don't actually vote on it, then it'll still be no masks in school.
So you're gonna, so you're gonna have, for the kids who are 12 years and older, mask optional.
It'd be
Kids-
7th up.
Are you putting a grade limit or are you calling an age group? Because
7th grade.
7th grade, you have to do 7th grade because the 7th and 8th graders are separate.
It says a building or wing.
yeah, but I mean, you have 6th graders who are 12.
But you can't, that whole class is not going to be the same age by the time they get up into 7th.
Because you're supposed to turn 12 in your 6th grade year, but then you have the really young ones, and then you have the really old ones. You could have 13-year-olds in 6th grade, depending on their birthday. So,
It was just a way to assure that we could have one wing of the middle school.
the wings are pretty segregated, aren't they?
And
Very much so.
But they're together after school and before school and.
Athletics, they're not.
They're not.
7th and 8th grade is.
But no,
everybody.
in their homes and with their friends.
It goes
and
5
stuff.
through 8.
It's 5 through 8 now?
Mhm.
Really? Wow.
For some stuff, yeah. Thank you, Katie,
And masks are already optional outside the school.
for giving an option available that we can at least open up some portion of the schools.
It's never not my intention,
I mean, we're giving people the opportunity to give the vaccine to their kids, but we're also giving the parents the opportunity to keep their kids in masks at school.
well, that's always, yeah.
So, you know, I hear what you're saying, that we're giving the 6 weeks time, but we're also, you could keep wearing a mask, you know, the whole time, even if you didn't have the vaccine. If you follow what I'm saying, like, I don't get why we're saying we need to wait this 6 weeks so that even the kids who don't want to have the vaccine aren't going to have to wear a mask after 6 weeks. And you want to give the kids the opportunity to, or the parents the opportunity to give their kids a vaccine, but those kids could also keep wearing a mask until they're available for the vaccine.
But if the other kids are just going to take their masks off, then you don't get the same protection. And they're in bigger, closer contact within our building than they probably are at home. There's a lot more kids per room.
But every other school as well has the same kids in the same proximity and the same numbers. And they're still not requiring it at the lower levels.
I think
That's
Stillwater is.
optional.
Stillwater is,
But that's a
actually
much
all of
larger
Minnesota is.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a much larger school, but in our district, in our area.
You're talking other districts.
Or, yeah, in our area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we talk area, our schools, like Stillwater's closer than Woodbury, or than
Yeah, they're
Baldwin.
15 miles
And
away.
it's closer than Prescott, and it's, I mean, Stillwater still requires masks.
Yes.
For, inside, and then after school hours, staff can take their masks off, but indoors they have to wear masks during summer school.
But parents couldn't open enroll to Stillwater, could open enroll to other districts in Wisconsin, right?
I don't know, I don't
Correct,
have any, all my
yeah.
kids go to Somerset.
If Wisconsin.
Within the state.
Okay, so I also had a question then with what, because I guess my thing, we do have students that went homeschooled because they can't get vaccines, or there was no vaccine, because they were vulnerable. So this then allows that population to come back to school once they get vaccinated, correct? Because there's a population that aren't coming to school because they're not able to until they get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Children.
I mean, it will not, well, once they're vaccinated, then they should be.
Well, I've seen good to go. I've heard from a number of them that they want to come back, but they can't due to family's underlying health until there's a vaccination.
I
for
know,
them.
so it's the students and the
But they wouldn't come back whether kids were in masks or not in masks.
They would
correct?
come back if they could be vaccinated and people would be vaccinated at school. Yeah.
But it, okay.
You know, because that's what I'm just saying, that that'll impact our enrollment, that students come back from homeschool once the vaccination is here too.
But that's,
Beyond the point.
yeah,
My
I would say
brain's
that's,
just going.
that's, when it happens, it happens.
Just going.
you know.
So there is a motion on
Did
the...
she make a motion?
Yeah.
I did.
Did anyone second your
I'm
motion?
asking right now, is there a second for
We have
Katie's
discussion.
motion to include letter H under the exceptions to the use of masks, face coverings?
Can you forward me a letter H, please?
Yeah, should I email it to you
Yes,
all?
please.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is,
I mean, the wing thing, I mean, it just
I
seems
know
like there's
it's
a
very,
weird,
I hear you.
I know you're a lot better at contract language than I am, so
Yeah.
there's like
Actually, I
loopholes and things that I
I wish,
don't get.
I think I have it.
Are you talking that this would take effect in the fall?
No.
She's talking to take effect in
We
2
didn't
days.
say it.
So-
It take effect, it would take effect tonight. Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I was going by May, the end of May.
May 12th, 6 weeks out, would be June 23rd, which is the day after tomorrow.
So would that mean that the teachers are available to not wear masks at this point?
only in those grades is only in those grades where the students are able to. 'Cause I
That was a
think
question
they
I
need
was
to.
gonna ask
I think
too,
they need
is
to
the
set
weight
it
training,
up.
because they're full, well.
They have the
85% of
ability.
our- I'm assuming they're vaccinated, 85% of our
Yeah.
people are,
Yeah,
but, so in your thought process here, that teachers of those ages below 12 would still have to,
I think so. because
Okay.
I think
Well-
they need to
I,
set the
no, I just want
example. That's just my thought.
to be clear, okay.
So just this last week though, Department of Children and Families took their regulation away. There will be no enforcement actions around mask wearing moving forward. That was on May 20th.
It was enforcement,
For-
right? They're just not gonna find people
They're
for it anymore?
recommend, they still recommend it,
Yeah.
just like the Department of Health does.
They used to, like,
They'll pull their license, they
Yeah.
used to pull their license if they weren't compliant.
that's not gonna happen anymore.
And that actually brings up another question I have, if I can bring it up. So does that mean that Spartan Kids Club doesn't have to wear a mask?
No, if they're in our building.
But they're considered
They're
a
in our
district?
building,
Okay.
they, you know, they have to.
Okay.
They're-
Okay.
So
I just
we-
wanted their
Clear on
licenses
that.
real quick.
I emailed it out.
So they can't do that anymore.
I
That helps.
emailed it out to
For
everybody.
the other
Yeah,
districts.
yeah. I
It's
just wanted
emailed
to-
out,
I
so do we
did.
need copies?
Oh,
I got it,
No, I'll check
I'm looking at it.
Did you email it to me too?
I did,
Okay.
and I emailed it to Mark also. It's on page 2.
in fuchsia.
Did you pick that color? Okay, we just sent it out. We can refresh.
Did we have a big use of face shields? I was wondering that, because that was always in here, and
You'd see one every once in a while, but you'd see it with a mask.
did we have a big number of waiver requests or anything like that?
Of what?
Waiver requests? 'Cause I just see
You
a
know,
lot of people saying that that's
Very,
helped,
very few. There may have been 1 or 2 in the district.
so people weren't asking for the waiver.
So it wasn't anything that was really brought to our attention that I know of, but I did hear of 1 or 2.
Okay.
So does it have to be specific medical from a doctor for?
So it has to be reasonable. Yeah, and typically it's a doctor's,
Yeah.
a doctor.
I mean, I think I really believe very strongly that we shouldn't do away with the protections that are available for our kids who have not had an opportunity. Not saying, masks or vaccines are required, you don't have to prove it, of course, none of that we can do, but we can make sure that before we tell people they can go mask-free all over in our most crowded building too is the elementary school, that they'll have had an opportunity. And as you know, as I said last time, I just came up with 6 weeks. Because you don't know which vaccine will become available.
Well, that's how long it takes
It's
to
supposed to be
figure
fall. You're talking fall,
For
for the younger kids.
Yeah.
elementary age children,
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful.
So, I guess, not to beat the dead horse, but on the St. Clair County webpage, when it gives this advisory recommendation by the St. Clair County Public Health, it says at the bottom, this advisory is not enforceable by law enforcement or anyone else. It is the best interest of everyone living in physically present St. Clair County to follow the recommendations of this advisory. I would, in my mind, we, as a school board, would be the everybody else, everyone else. So,
Like all businesses.
everyone else. So if this is not enforceable by anyone else, how can we as a school board continue to enforce this?
Mark, would you like to take that?
Well, you as a body can enforce it.
I mean, I'm just
When nobody else is.
saying, I'm
though.
just stating that
The
As a-
rules
as
in
a
our
board,
building.
this is the
as a board,
advisory.
You set policy.
There's no ordinance. That's what that means.
And even though that says that we could get county board, have the county health come in and to give us a recommendation on whether or not, we could do that again and see if she changes it
Well,
from last time, because that could happen.
well,
But we are still.
I guess what I'm saying is, we are enforcing the use of masks in our school as a recommendation from the county. So we're enforcing it, but technically, as St. Clair County states, that we are not able to enforce it. I mean, I guess that's how I would read that line,
No.
that advisory is not enforceable by law enforcement or anyone else.
And they've taken that
No.
position the whole time that.
What
law
they mean by
enforcement
that is
isn't-
law enforcement or public health.
They're not gonna come out and
It's
police.
not law enforcement and school districts or businesses.
Matter of fact, they're recommending K through 12 masks.
I know they are recommending it, but they are also stating directly below it that it's not enforceable by law enforcement or anyone else. So, yes, it's, their advisory is not enforceable.
We can't charge people with a crime
I'm not,
because there's no ordinance.
yeah, I guess I'm not
But
legal, I'm just stating in my simple mind here that, I see what it says, but then this is not enforceable. So us as a board, I know it's been like that way the whole time and we've kind of gone through it, but if things have changed, it just kind of been brought to my attention again that, this isn't enforceable by anyone, so if people don't.
So Bruce, we have in our school handbooks that students are not allowed to wear clothing with profanity or racist remarks or other such slogans or pictures or innuendos. There's not a law about it, but we have that rule in our schools and we enforce it. This is the same.
Not really, because that's coming from, we don't go to them, we don't go to St. Croix County Health for.
We make a rule in our school district, we have a policy, it's in our school handbook, and we enforce it.
Okay, I agree with that, but why isn't there any discussion about updating the policy? I'm trying to find some.
This is updating the policy.
Well,
We talked about it
and I
at
do
the last
appreciate it, I
meeting.
think that it's something. I do, I'm not, but I'm still really wanting to advocate for people that want to make the choice for their children. And if you're not in the timeline to get vaccinated, then you would wear a mask if that's what you wanted to do. masks have filters. There are options to make them really robust if that's necessary. But I do appreciate what you're saying, because that could potentially mean that our high schoolers that need summer school can stop wearing masks, which I'm all for. But I mean, I want to like it a lot, but I also really want to advocate for those, grades, Spartan Kids Club through 6th grade too.
So realistically, these kids, this is the only place now they have to wear masks.
I don't know.
When you're out in the community, they're not wearing them in church or at the grocery store. They're not wearing them in my store, So the people that are opposed to it or don't want to, we're making this a place where they are coming that they might not want to be.
En masse. I mean, they're coming en masse. There's a lot of them who are here.
And they're unmasked everywhere else. I mean, that's what I'm saying is now this is the only place that many of these kids will be wearing masks.
I don't think that's true. I know that in all healthcare settings they're required.
But you don't have to go there every day.
And I know that on public transportation they're required. In airports they're required.
But again, you don't have to go there every day. The kids have to go to school, or they want to go to school, right?
And all of them should be able to go to school.
100%. But they come to school for their chunk of time, and then they leave, and everywhere else they go, they don't have a mask on. When they're with their friends, when they're at the store, anywhere they go. Playing baseball, this is the only place that is enforcing it, and I just don't see logically how we think we are going to stop transmission just in the Somerset school, because every other school has said, we're not going to worry about it. Let's let the kids be kids. And let's let them come to school and let's let them smile at each other.
I catch that, but there are a large number of parents, me being in I have young kids, that we do keep our kids masked because we don't want them to catch stuff. And there are a group of, to say that they go home and they go to stores and kids are still wearing masks. You can walk through Walmart and see a lot of kids still wearing masks. Parents are still masking their kids and waiting for that vaccine. So we can't just represent one side. We have to do both sides. And even with the comment about, parents' choice when they're in school, I totally understand that. But we lock all the doors. Parents just can't walk into these buildings because for safety reasons. We are responsible for them when they're here. We are, and that is something that is heavy for all of us. We can't just say that anyone can walk in and make decisions, because you can't walk into the school. We can't just walk into the school. We spent millions to redo our entryways. Hundreds of thousands at least, to make sure that our buildings were secured. The doors aren't, so to just act like we allow people to come in and make whatever decisions they want, we don't. Not for their children. We are responsible for them.
What if I told you I am opposed to masks and your child can't wear a mask? I won't allow them to wear a mask in the school. That would be me infringing on your rights and your rights as a parent and how you want to parent your kids. And if your kids want to wear them, 100%, I think that's wonderful if they want to wear them. But I don't think I have a right to come to you and say, Patty Jo, you can't let your kids wear a mask.
But what right are they infringing? What right do my kids have to that? I'm asking,
to wear one or to not wear one?
Yeah, where do masks fall in the Constitution?
So I'm just saying, you have a right to have your kids do that, right? You get to help guide them to make those decisions because you're their parent.
Correct. When they're at home and when they're at school, they have to follow rules that they might not have to follow when they're at home. I don't allow my kids to do certain things at home that I know they do at school because they get in trouble for it. So, that's the thing, is there are rules that we set at schools that maybe go against, but this is hopefully, once in a lifetime thing that hopefully we'll never have to do with again. And we have done this district, as much as anyone wants to dog the board and dog whoever, the district has done a great job. We've done a great job, and it's been a collaborative effort. And I understand being sick and fatigued by all of this stuff, but we've done a great job at keeping everything running. and everyone is feeling it, and we just want to get through it. Like, I don't want to finish at the 90-yard. I want
And that's how
to
I
get
feel
in.
too.
I want to finish it and make sure that the majority of people that we can keep safe as school board members, and I mean, take my child out of it. As a school board member, I want to make sure that we did the best that we could to make sure everyone in the district that comes into our building and leaves our building is safe.
But why Somerset? Why are we any different than any other district in Wisconsin or in the area?
I mean, say the area, but it's not. It's literally, I mean, you can go to other areas in Wisconsin and they have masks. Our political stuff is different than other stuff. Cool, I don't care, like, it's not political for me. You can go across the river, they're wearing masks. It's not a thing where we need to say, what are they doing, what are they doing? We've been different this entire time. Somerset has been different the entire time.
And I will say that when we had all the kids in school, masks mandatory and social distancing, we still almost had to shut down. So we came very, very close.
But for holidays.
And the last class of kids that were out were from the elementary school. I mean, this isn't, and I hate this whole, it's political. It is totally not political. I mean, maybe it's because, this board member knows what it's like. I lost a brother at a young age. Maybe that's what the difference is. Maybe that's why I'm not willing to say not until those kids have a chance to get vaccinated. And some of these kids have health conditions, and they should be able to come to school and know that their classmates are gonna wear masks for them too. I just don't think it's, they're going to have a vaccine available to them come fall, So we are sitting here having a really long philosophical discussion about why we're doing this when we're literally talking a couple more months. And I'm not saying we're ever gonna have to come back to this. Once you've had a chance to be vaccinated.
So what if the
That's what you
vaccine
had.
isn't available in the fall, and just, if we took the steps now to say, okay, masks optional, and maybe we have 50-50 of the kids wearing them or not wearing them, but we have a really small group in summer school that we're able to work with and really see what does this look like. Are we seeing an outbreak? So we have a, 2-month window of saying, okay, wait a minute, we went too fast. Once school starts, this is what we're gonna implement. When we have a larger group coming in, but we'd have numbers then, we have statistics, and we know without a doubt what we're looking for and what we're gonna be in for fall. And it's a much smaller group that, high schoolers are required to be here for being able to pass classes, but if a kid misses summer school, my kids love summer school, but if they missed it, it's not a life or death, right? It's not that they're gonna fall behind because they've missed 2 weeks of school on quarantine. But this would really give us a litmus test of what does this look like?
Not really.
And I just
How
want to
do
say,
you
how
say
do you
not really,
think,
Laura? Yeah, please
Well, let Margie-
elaborate.
how do you think we got through the school year with everybody staying in school? It was because of the mask policies and because I wasn't on the board then, but because of the decisions the board made, that kept the kids in school. And that was all the protective stuff, the masks and whatever. If that had not been in place, I don't think anybody would have been in school. I really don't believe they would. So, yes, you're saying that we don't have the cases, but we don't have the cases because the kids were protected with masks and social distancing and cleaning and different things like that. It didn't just happen.
So the schools that are mask optional now for summer school, are they having huge outbreaks?
I have no idea. They haven't been in
It
school
hasn't
long
been
enough.
long
It takes a
enough.
few weeks to find out if they're gonna have more COVID cases, and there's another strain coming, and we need to be protected against that too.
But, and at the same time that we were all masked at that time, really everybody, almost everybody was at their workplace and in schools. students left here and took their masks off, adults left here and took their masks off, so it's the same circumstance as you're making about, you know, the current idea. You know, we can't help what people do outside of here, but when you're in the building, just saying, follow just these couple protocols while you're inside the buildings, until a vaccine is available.
I want to get back to this, how this is not the same with collecting the data. Can you please enlighten me?
Sure.
Thank you.
My comment was based on how summer school is different from the regular school year. And that's what I meant when I said not really. Because we have more of the kids are outside. Depending on the class, there's more space in the room, there's fewer kids. So to compare summer school to what the regular school year is like, I don't think it's the same, and that's why I said not really.
Apples and oranges.
But it's a start.
But
you know,
yeah,
we would be exposing.
That's been my thought from the beginning as well, that at least, like I've said multiple times that I support the mask, and we did do a great job this year, and we should have done what we did, and it worked out.
Did
But,
great.
you know, this gives us a chance to see what's going to happen if we take the mask off. And I guess, here's the thing. We're all beating our heads against the table here. We have a motion by Katie. I don't think we need to keep running around this item anymore, because there's no budgeting here. So,
Is there a second? Did we ever give a
yeah,
second?
I'll second your motion, and can we just vote to move on, because this is enough. We're not making any headway. We're all slamming into each other in the middle of the room, and we might as well just at least get your partial one across here. It's a great step. It's a middle ground. I'm fine with moving forward with it. I don't agree that this is what it should be, but it's better than nothing. It gives half our school something to look forward to. So I'm fine with it. I'll second your thing.
I thought there was a second already, was there?
I did not catch a second, but I could have missed it also.
Okay, so Bruce apparently is seconding it now.
Yes.
And we have had quite a bit of discussion already. So I believe Bruce was calling the question. So there is no further discussion. Marge, how do you vote? Yes. Katie?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Bruce?
Yes.
No.
No?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 5-2-2. And I believe this addresses what,
The 8450?
yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything with 8450?
I would like to see that updated to may instead of shall in our language.
So are you making a motion?
I would make, yes, I'm making a motion. I'm trying to pull it up here so I know exactly what I'm talking about.
We did the same thing as during last time.
The last, or the third paragraph.
Thank you. How far down? Oh, there we go. First sentence,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The board may follow all state statutes.
All right, so Cherie has made a motion. Would anybody care to make a second?
Thank you, Marge.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Thank you, Roxanne. Any questions or comments or discussion on this motion?
I think that's what we talked about at the last meeting. We discussed
Yeah, I mean,
that.
I was pulling it completely out of there, making COVID its own line.
I think that's what we had talked about.
But
Oh, yeah,
Because this is talking about all casual contact communicable disease.
And we don't have a lot of control over that. If we have a measles outbreak, the Department of Health will step in. So we don't have a lot of control over that one.
So are you comfortable with me?
with, just
Given
if it
that-
pertains to COVID. Because we can't, that's out of our hands.
If
It's
we have a different
state-
outbreak.
If there was a different outbreak, right?
Yeah,
That's what I was trying to figure out for the language, because if you put may, it does may for everything.
yeah.
Which
but
is
we would-
why Katie's motion with
Okay.
8450.01
See
was
if
where
you're-
it belonged.
Yeah,
See if you're okay with this, sure. So leave paragraph 3 as it is, okay? And then make a new paragraph. Tisha, are you following me?
I'm trying.
And then in regard to COVID-19, the board may follow
yeah,
all state, and the same thing, but it would just say may.
yeah.
Do I need to amend my motion?
Yeah.
Okay. What Katie said.
Amend it to that.
So I would like to add a paragraph in stating in regards to COVID-19, the board may follow all state statutes, health department regulations, and or St. Croix County public health.
Marge, will you amend your second?
No, I meant
Did
my-
you second?
No, I didn't second.
She never seconded.
I'll second.
Okay, so if we add this sentence to, so we have a motion by Sheree, a second by Katie. I have a question.
Oh, no.
Because if we amend this motion to may, we still have, the board still needs to decide if we are or are not. Because may means we still have to make a decision. So just amending this policy to add that sentence, we still have to answer the question.
But isn't that,
No,
isn't
don't.
Katie's thing,
And mine addressed that, the other one.
yeah, address that already?
Yeah.
Yep, our PPE stuff.
Okay.
And may give some flexibility.
Down the road, I think this is such a thing that's flexing, and we need to flex with it and be prepared without having a policy standing in the way of making a decision if we change our
Yeah.
route.
So
You're reading something
adding
else.
this sentence is not going to change our protocols?
Not at this
Not at
moment.
this time.
Okay.
But it doesn't put you in control whenever you want to.
Did
Right,
anybody have any other questions or comments or concerns?
No, but good catch.
All right, so there's a motion by Sheree, a second by Katie. Katie, your vote, please.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Bruce?
Yes.
Yes.
Roxanne?
Yes.
Marge?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve 6E1, the phase 2 and 3 construction projects as presented.
All right, is there a second?
Second it. Patty?
Thank you, Patty Jo. Any questions or concerns? Mark did address this in his superintendent's update earlier. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The preliminary budget. Is Dave going to come in, do you think?
It will. Thought his office looked dark.
He's on delay.
Sucks. Yeah.
Sorry about that, I was gonna come in while Mark was talking,
My first thought.
for the previous one. So, preliminary budget. You have the memo. We've talked previously, especially at the finance discussion, the early session. This is a step in the process. This is a snapshot of where we're at. I had heard earlier asking about health insurance, that the increase is included in this. Compensation steps are included in this.
Much of the COVID cost has been reduced, some has been retained, such as the things, the 1 year full-time sub, the one healthcare provider. Those were two things that were added specifically for COVID last year. You can see in the memo, we are waiting for some significant factors yet, especially on the revenue side. This budget includes our revenue limit calculation based on what we know now. Our practice is to use prior year student FTE, so I used that in the revenue limit calculation for this year. As of this moment, within the state budget discussions, there's no increase in revenue limit per member for next year. As of this moment, our professional organizations are calling it school funding in name only, wherein there will be, on the revenue side, the same total revenue within the revenue limit, but the levy amount will decrease and the state aid amount will increase, but it will be a net zero. So that's why it's called funding in name only. So as of right now, our revenue limit calculation, based on our student count, our student FTE, will be decreasing about 190,000. And the ESSER funds, I'm estimating, based on the best information we have, we're in the second part of ESSER 2 we've talked about. I'm saying that'll be reduced somewhat, so I'm using a slightly reduced number for that. And then the full amount that was proposed for ESSER 3, even though again that also is not known yet for certain. So in total it's about 770,000 in ESSER money as revenue.
Of 2 and 3, did you say, Dave?
The remainder of 2 and the full amount of 3. So you can use this for more than just next year technically, but I'm saying for this budget we're going to use it all.
It's included.
It's included in this,
right
yeah.
here.
Yep.
And those numbers are firm now?
No, no, these are best numbers as of right now, everything we know. So, I'm sorry.
Sorry, keep going.
So to wrap up the revenue side, I want to emphasize we've taken out some of the costs we could take out. We've added in some of the structural costs that we know we have. And on the revenue side, you look at the net, 54,000, 55,000 deficit at this moment in time. There's still staff that are to be hired for positions that either are approved or people have left and they're being refilled. So depending on staff elections for health insurance, for instance, this could flip and be a $50,000 surplus. There's a lot to know yet as far as the specifics that get us to the final number, but it's important to recognize that just for us, for this next year, the first year of this state budget, I'm saying we're using all of our ESSER money, and that's one-time money.
Right.
And so the second year will be difficult if what is proposed right now at a state level is what becomes the state budget. The only other thing that really strongly affects this would be pupil count, student FTE. So if that was, for instance, to increase significantly, even with the state budget that's proposed, that would also help us. So this is our snapshot, and I wanted to kind of emphasize the things that we know, the things that we don't know. So Bruce, what was your question?
So technically, without ESSER, we're $700,000+ over budget.
Without ESSER, yeah, it's a tough one.
Is that 400? Is it 400,000 for healthcare? We've included.
Between these two funds, it's closer to 300 because there's some of the overall 400 that was discussed by Jay Counter. Some of that will apply to different funds, like Fund 73 for retirees, and much of that is also paid by retirees. There's a portion that's not. Some of it, there's a little bit in Fund 80, so some of that is not captured here. And again,
So it's not captured as an expenditure?
it's not captured
The
in
increase?
It's not captured in somewhere that needs to be under the revenue limit, which is why we talk about general
okay.
fund and specifically
Okay.
when there's a transfer to the special ed fund.
Okay, and then this includes the one step for everybody, for all staff?
Yes. So there are some things such as that, that is technically discretionary. And this current year, we delayed that because we had uncertainty. So technically that's discretionary, but it is included in here. The health insurance at this point, There's not a lot of flexibility. I'm still talking with Jay Counter.
When do you plan for an update from them to us?
Well, it really is, you know, at the end of the day, do we want to increase the district exposure through HRA or not? So it's kind of, I'll give you a final recommendation on that. I've been going back and forth, are there any other things we can do? There's really not. There's discussion in the future where they really like self-funding even at our size, and that's something that we'll really dig into.
I wish it would, because I still think it's a better deal.
It absolutely is if you're big, certainly, right? It's absolutely, once you get to a certain head count, it makes a lot of sense, because then it's just statistical almost. You know, when you have a smaller head count, there can be huge variance year over year, and that's always been my concern, but there's a lot of different approaches now that districts are taking, and that's something that I'm in a user group, a discussion group with a lot of districts in the state as well, for how are different districts addressing this and doing this, and it is, there's smaller and smaller districts that are doing it, so I'm hopeful to, you know, get the best info we can, see if that truly might be an option for a district our size.
Can we, July, August, start playing around with options? Does that give you?
For the following year, I think Linda and I and Alicia J. Hunter had left that as, we'll start that discussion in the fall, you know, really get it going, so that by December we can see what information we need to accumulate to know how to proceed.
When do you hear, when do you hear back from the state on what our numbers will be for next year?
We hear when we hear.
Well,
Could be November.
You know, it's possible, you know, Governor Evers would say, I'm vetoing the whole budget because I don't approve of this. You know, is it unlikely it could happen? We really don't know until they have an agreement.
The political landscape there is really tough right now with the finances. It's just, they couldn't be any farther apart right now. They know there's gonna be some common ground, but it's politics right now.
I think one year we didn't know until December. That was just a few years
Just
ago.
the way it,
Yeah.
that's the way that game was played.
But December though, you would know in December how to set up for kind of the following year. I'm just saying, you know, we were 500,000 or something over last year when we approved our preliminary budget. And now we have ESSER that's saving us this year. Well.
So I think your question is, at some point will we have a clear picture of the second year of the state budget? Yes. Yes. As soon as they agree and we know what the state is offering, then really, as I talked about at the financial discussion, then our variables become, what are the costs we control, and on the revenue side, what's our student membership, what's our student count, right? Those are the biggest things remaining then.
And if we have to make adjustments, you know, 85% of our budget is people. If we have to make adjustments for the following year, those conversations have to start in December.
$700,000 is 9 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And that's how the budget was balanced in the past.
And technology.
Kick.
I know. There was a noon webinar on Friday from WASB that addressed this entire issue. It was Dan Rossmiller and Chris, I don't remember his last name, it starts with a K. But the webinar is still available on the WASB website, and they are encouraging all board members to write letters to their representatives. And I can forward you the information that I have if you would like to do so. I would certainly encourage you to do so. And I believe, Mark, you sent out an email to all of us that was the same general information.
Okay.
So right now, you're projecting about a 55,000 deficit, and our fund balance is at about 19%. And over the past 5 years, our fund balance has ranged from about 19% to about, I think the high was like 23%.
Yeah, and yes, and that is as the expenditure increases, that drags down the percentage as well. So,
Right.
yep.
And when our percentage goes down, that makes it more difficult for us to borrow.
It makes it more likely that we'll have to borrow, and it makes our Moody's rating more likely to decrease because our financial situation appears less strong, less stable. And so I'm a big proponent of not eating into fund balance.
Yes.
You're right. Over the years, we've generally slowly increased it. The first year, 1920 of the pandemic, we cut short and the fund balance actually increased. This year, we're projecting that it will decrease. So yeah, you're right, there has been some fluctuation.
But you said that you just want to stay above that 15%. Isn't that like the sweet spot number that you said? We don't want to be up 25, but
25 would be great.
25 is awesome.
Don't ask him.
30
maybe I was talking about you, Mark. Maybe
Yeah.
you were saying
Mark,
that
what
the
are you
Minnesota
saying?
buddies were a lot less that we were
15
doing.
is an
We were running a $130 million budget at 5%.
Right, that's what I mean. Maybe that's what it was. That we were down.
That's a
Every
different
little
funding
tick
system
hurts
though.
them.
That's a lot different in Minnesota than
Yeah, their
than
funding
here.
stream is different, so.
I'd like 30.
This is a policy question actually. Our
Yeah.
policy 15 to 25, we could always increase that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Well, you get better borrowing money.
So we need a motion to approve the preliminary budget, is that correct?
As presented, yep.
All right, would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll
As
second
presented.
All right, so motion by Patty Jo, second by Cherie. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor? I'm sorry, did you have a question? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much, Dave.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dave.
As we know more, you will know more. Our next official action is September, but we can do things in the meantime if we need to.
Let's do stuff.
That's when we pass our budget, but it's not really
That's
because
the budget hearing,
budget hearing.
an annual meeting, and then the official original budget for the year is October, end of October.
So
If we know
will you or
The official.
Linda make another presentation to the board about what the final numbers are with insurance?
That could be even a weekend update thing. That's,
Okay.
at this point, there's not a lot of options. There's not a lot of choice. I've been having this discussion and asking a lot of questions. And so really, you'll get my recommendation and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, minutes, board bills, and personnel update. Would anybody care to make a motion?
Motion to approve 7A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, B, 1, C, 1, 2.
Second.
All right, so we had a motion by Bruce and a second by Roxanne. Did I get that right? Any questions or discussion on any of these items?
You did some stuff for something.
Yeah, there were a couple addresses. Tage already fixed it.
Okay.
And then there was something else that I don't remember, but Tage already, oh, I know she added, no, that was something else. Tasia, do you remember? I know there were a couple addresses. Were there anything else?
I can't remember what it is off the top of my head right now,
It's okay.
but whatever you emailed.
It was something small.
Yep.
All in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. General information, July meeting dates are the 12th and the 26th.
6 o'clock, right?
I believe you are correct, Bruce. I believe we begin at 6 o'clock starting in July. Thank you for reminding us.
I want you to be late, Lori.
Thank you.
God, that's gonna mess me up.
Appreciate that. Patty Jo, once around the table?
I may not be at the July 12th meeting. I don't, no offense to all you people, but it's my birthday. And we have birthday plans. So.
You get your birthday off.
Yeah, right. We are doing a community drive to get female hygiene products in St. Croix County. So I'm hoping that we can do something that's next on the 29th on Tuesday from 11 to 1, but we're trying to collect feminine hygiene products to put into schools and our
That would be
local
awesome.
to get stuff like that. So
Where is it happening?
we don't know yet. We haven't gotten interest in where to collect in Somerset at this point.
I would be happy
Would you be?
to offer my, absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
awesome.
So,
Yep,
yeah,
11 to
we
1
can- we can-
on next Tuesday.
Next
Yep.
Tuesday, okay.
So that's the plan.
And I have storage if we need, if we get a lot, we
Yeah.
can tuck it away, whatever you need, so.
Perfect.
Okay,
Well, that works well.
there we go.
And then, well, that. Make sure. No. Did we get anything about the drainage with those developments? Didn't we have a big thing about that? That things, money might be coming in because they might have to do things for things and such? as they-
Everything's on hold with that development.
Okay.
right now.
Maybe that's why.
No,
Drainage.
it's not that.
And that's all I have.
Roxanne?
I just wanted to point out that Leslie let us know about this other amazing, these amazing funds that were awarded to Spartan Kids Club, and over $30,000. So I just wanted to say thank you. And then I am going to beat a dead horse, and I'm very sorry, but I didn't know at what point during our policy discussions I should bring these points up. So I'm just going to call it food for thought, because I am going to continue to advocate for masks optional in the fall. And I'm just putting it out there that I am going to probably be beating a dead horse, but I will do it. A parent tonight mentioned that he said, you know, this group of parents, or many parents, have complied with masks all year long, even though they may have disagreed with it. And me being somebody who was pro-mask in the beginning and truly does believe it did help our school, I'm an example of somebody who has had a change of heart now that trends and mask protocols are changing all around us. So I'm kind of a good example of somebody who did change my thinking on them this late in the game. In the beginning, I thought they were absolutely necessary, and I do believe they helped keep our school open. I did look up, and it looks like 12 and under can vaccinate in September and October. So I know it's a controversial question, and I don't personally need to know who, but when we send out the survey to the parents, if there is some sort of way of asking, if a vaccine is available to your child, would you consider it? I don't know how we would word it, because I know it's a very controversial question. And I'm not interested in the actual people that would answer it, but the data that comes back on that. Let's say that we get a survey out and 85% of parents, just like staff, come back with, we're 100% on board for masks optional, and maybe 10 to 20% want to vaccinate their children. That's a pretty low number. So would we be, just food for thought, would we be willing to take a look at that data and say, hey, parent data matches staff data. Let's give masks optional starting right away in the fall, more serious consideration, just based on that feedback that we might receive. And again, I know it's a really controversial question, and that's not my point. And so I believe, even if we believe it's our duty that we need to protect everybody in the school district, I also believe firmly that we have to listen to the people that elected us. So I'm very interested in what comes back on that parent survey, and hoping that we can take all that into consideration when we start in the fall.
I remembered something that I forgot. You know, softball, congratulations to the girls making the first sectionals ever in Somerset's history. They did lose tonight, 4-0 against Baldwin Woodville, who's been their nemesis all year. But they've had a great season, and they really, really did good things. And then the recall stuff, I fully support a democratic process, and if people, I'm not going to sit and act like I'm all but hurt. It is what it is, and that's what the process is, and as elected officials, people get to make these decisions. So it's not something I take personal. So I know some people were offended that I made the motion, but it's the democratic process, and we live in a democracy, and I'll respect it as it is.
So just to piggyback a little bit off of what Roxanne said, how does that survey go out? Is it emailed? Is it sent out through Infinite Campus? What would that look like? I just want to make sure that we have the masses see it. You know, some aren't checking emails or.
They probably go to Infinite Campus because you want the parents.
It goes through Infinite Campus, which within that, as a parent, you can choose to have it also come to your email, depending on what you've chosen for your settings. So it'll either go just into your Infinite Campus portal when you log in, or both, or one, whatever parents have selected as their preference.
And then they usually also put it on the website,
Oh.
and on Facebook, share
Talk
it.
about here.
Yeah,
Just
One question
make sure
was-
that we're all sharing that once it does come out, so everybody knows it's there. Because I was not good with checking Infinite Campus in the summertime, so that's why I was wondering.
Yeah.
So, okay, just great comments again tonight. It's just so neat to see parents engaged in the process and sharing their thoughts and ideas. And wondering about getting a board retreat set up to do the school perceptions results. If we can get that in place this summer before school gets back in.
Yep.
What does that look like? Sometime at the library?
Mark and I have been working on that,
Okay.
and when we get it figured out, we'll let you know.
Perfect. Give us a couple choices on dates and times.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Always.
Great. That's it.
I also have that survey one. But, Mark, are we gonna be able to meet here in the next couple of weeks with construction going on this year, or do we just set up? do we
Yeah,
plan
we'll,
to set
we'll
up the
see what
12?
access will be like here. I really
Oh, yeah.
don't know yet. And a few moving pieces on this, but it could be questionable. We may have to move.
The library.
Well, I think we just move the bills, go to high school or elementary or something.
Yeah, we'd probably either end up at high school or the elementary. We couldn't use the elementary because they moved all this trailer stuff into the commons area there, which we didn't expect, so.
Yeah, that was why I was staying here. Okay, yeah, that was it, yeah, I also on board with what Roxanne stated about my math situation. Everyone's, I've said it before, but same goal, kind of made that adjustment. And yeah, talking about that perception survey, that's good. That's it.
All right, so I already answered the question about the school perception survey data retreat, which was what I was going to bring up, and I think, and the Spartan Kids grant, which Roxanne already brought up. Katie?
No, I'm just saying, I seconded, I have no problem with the recall either. And I thought if I seconded it, it would just make fellow board members more comfortable.
Thank you.
I mean, I thought it was kind of perfect.
We're all head down.
Right, and why do that? You know, I don't, yeah, that's fine.
Marge?
I just want to say that, you know, the parents that tell us that we're not listening continually, we are listening. There's no way that we can't when we're called every name in the book, but but we are putting thought into the decisions that we make, and we are listening to them. It's not that we're not listening.
I'm sorry you joined during the pandemic.
I am too, but no.
There's a lot of other stuff
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
Mark wants around.
Yes.
Just with the survey, if you have any specific thoughts or things that you want to address, shoot me those ideas so we can craft this up. And, you know, one thing with it, you're going to give the silent majority, minority, whatever, a voice with it, so that you'll hear that.
Yeah.
So.
Track, state, coming up, right?
Yes.
What?
Good luck to our track. We have a large track team going to state this year, so your daughters.
No, she's not, but,
Oh.
two are.
Well, look at that, I thought she was. Oh, so great job at sectional. Good
I moved to
representation
adjourn.
in both.
I second.
Lori didn't ask me, but I did anyway.
Motion by Katie to adjourn, second by Sheree, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.